So let's talk about the Nikon D5600. Let's face it, if you're watching this video, you're probably thinking of getting one. So the big question is it worth it in 2020? Well, I've been a hobby level photographer for about 3 years. And by that, I mean like actually trying to learn how DSLR cameras work on manual mode rather than just taking like iPhone snaps, you know, that kind of stuff. And I started out with a Nikon, or is it Nikon? I don't know, a D3400. And then after a while, found a used D5600. Both had a 24 megapixel sensor, similar ISOs, etc. But the biggest selling point for me was this, the articulated screen. It was almost impossible to know beforehand when I was in focus unless I sat like super close to the screen or asked my wife to help me, which was really hard. I wanted to start making videos too. And it was a nightmare with the D3400. Like I could have bought a monitor, I guess, but who wants to carry that around with them? And this is a touchscreen as well. But hey, the chances are you're probably not updating specifically from a D3400. Maybe you are. In fact, at this relatively low price point, around $600 US at the time of recording this video, you're probably a hobbyist like me, you're not a pro. So here's what I would have found helpful when I bought this camera. Some highlights, the articulated screen is really helpful. You can spin it round and all that stuff. You don't realize just how much you need one until you get one, and then you can't live without one. The pictures they're pretty good. Like I think you have to work pretty hard to get good photos, but to be fair, that could just be maybe because I'm still learning. You can check out a few snaps that I took just here, primarily of my wife, obviously, because I can't really take pictures of myself very easily. I think they turned out quite nicely, if you ask me. And by the way, in these pics, I'm mainly using a Nikon 35mm 1.8 lens, which by the way is amazing considering how affordable it is. I love it. Next, video. It can look okay. Like a bunch of my previous videos are using this camera. I'll show you a few. I upgraded recently to a Panasonic GH5. That's what I'm filming this on about a month ago. I'm going to do a review on that soon, by the way. But like I recently reviewed the new 2020 Dell XPS 15 on this, and I thought it was okay. It's okay. We'll talk more about video in a second though. I'll take some outdoor video footage as well to give you a bit more of a broader idea of what the video footage is like. Let's be honest, that's what you want to see. The fact that it can connect wirelessly to my phone is really cool. I like that. So those were some of the good things. Let's rush through some of the things that maybe weren't so good. The battery life, it's just not fantastic. It's okay. The way the buttons are organized for taking pictures in manual mode are really confusing. And let's be real, that could be me. But for me, it felt like trying to complete some kind of ancient puzzle just to try and figure out like where the ISO, aperture, and shutter speed are. It was really hard. And again, maybe that's just me. But since I've upgraded to a GH5, I found it so much easier, which makes me think that maybe it's this. But here's the killer. This is the thing you need to listen to. The autofocus is not good. Let's put that into perspective for a second. I own a GH5 and there are literally hundreds of videos saying that the autofocus on the Panasonic GH5 is trash. Like granted, there's been a firmware update that's made it a little bit better, but keep that in context, keep that in mind when I say this. The autofocus on the GH5 isn't that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad. Compared to the Nikon D5600, it's incredible. Honestly, the continual autofocus on here is just terrible. It's not suited for making videos at all. If it even manages to get you in focus, it will bounce in and out so many times that you'll feel like you're rocking out at a death metal concert or something. It's just awful. Granted, even in this video, the GH5 will probably do that a tiny bit with the lights in the background and so on, but on the D5600, it's horrendous, like horrendous. If you were using any other sort of camera attached mic, like a Rode video mic or something, the noise of the refocusing would make your footage totally useless. Manual focus is the only option, but even then I found it super tough to sit still enough for it to work unless I had a really high aperture, which was exactly what I didn't want. I didn't want that. So the autofocus really is that bad. if you try hard, you can get some half decent footage. And let's be real, that's probably what you want to see. So here you go, along with some of the annoying autofocus stuff. Take a look at this. So the big question is, should you buy a Nikon D5600 in 2020? Well, as always, it kind of depends. If you're wanting to film videos, then in my opinion, you probably should steer well clear from this thing. It's a bit of a nightmare, actually. Maybe if you're filming B-roll in manual mode, it's okay. But if you want to film yourself in any way or using the autofocus, just don't do it. If you're looking for a budget camera that can take pretty decent pictures without breaking the bank, well, this is a pretty good bet, actually. Are there other options out there? Yeah, probably. But if you find a steal of a deal on it, like I did, it will do you just fine for a while. Don't get me wrong, I've still got a long way to go as far as DSLR, picture taking and stuff, but it was perfect for helping me begin to learn the ropes of photography and video and all that stuff. It was a great beginner camera. If you found this video helpful, let's be real, you know exactly what I'm gonna say. I'd be really, really grateful if you could give this video a like if it was helpful. Comment if you have any questions and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you'd consider subscribing, I'd be over the moon. That would be awesome. There's lots of reviews and stuff coming up in the not too distant future. I'm hoping to post a video a week for a while pretty soon once work quiets down a bit, so maybe a bit more consistently. Until then, I hope you find the right camera for you. Have a great day. See ya.